Good evening. How is everybody? I hope you're well. If you'd just like to give me a hi and just let me know that you're there, that would be amazing. And then I can just say hi back. How is everybody this evening? Hope you're well. Hey, hey, hey. How is everything? Hope everything's good. Wait a few minutes to see if anybody else pops on. If not, we can get started. Looking like a yeti this evening. How are you, Ines? Are you okay? Your camping looked fun. It was awesome fun. I had loads of fun until it started getting too windy. Then it was time to come home because we had that storm Dave hit, and yeah, we were like, yeah, we're not staying for that. Hi, Diane. Hi, Wendy and David. Hey, Matthew. How is everybody? You know what? My batteries have just gone flat on my fan, and I'm really warm this evening. It's like the first time I've been warm. I was actually wearing a summer dress today. Can you believe it was so warm? That's any better? I'd be. Hmm. So we shall get started shortly. So I hope you've all had a really good Easter weekend. Look at the state of me today. I hope you had a really good Easter weekend and you did some exciting things over the weekend. We had hail, snow, and high winds when we were away just a few days ago. I know, we went for a walk somewhere, I can't remember what it was now, and it was like we got all four seasons in the course of 1 hour. It was the weirdest day ever. Oh dear. I'm sure that's not true, Annette. I'm sure that's not true. But no, I had a very eventful weekend. I had a very eventful week last week as well, actually. I took in quite a lot of Egyptology last week, and I will be telling you about that at the end of the tour today. So hopefully you'll be able to stay with me for the duration of this tour. So, what are we going to be doing tonight? Well, we're going to be looking at the Akhenaten family tree. Many of you know that it's one of my favourite subjects, but it is interesting. Socially, it's very interesting, but not my favourite, I have to say. And we'll get into that a little bit as we go along. Hi, Leslie. Hi, Annette. Hi, Minnie. Hi, Ronnie. How are you? Hope you're well. Thank you for joining. So, as I said, we'll be doing the Amana family tree today. So we'll start here. Do you have a bit of a slideshow? You're my hero, if you say so. And I will. Oh my goodness! I'm going to start coughing again today, aren't I? I've had a cough for about a month now, and it just will not disappear. Sort of like a little tickle every now and again. Maybe I just talk too much. That's what it is. So, the Amana family tree, what is so interesting about this one? Well, you'll know one of the major players in this family, and that is Tutankhmun. He was a grandson or maybe a son of Akhenaten, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So let's go into it a little bit and see, get some info in there for you. So Akhenaten entered the world very much as a spare heir. So he was a spare heir. Then the star, and then he was the star. He was the second son of Amenhotep III. So what we'll do is we'll go through the family tree as we go through. I do have notes because, I can't keep everything in my brain here. So we have the grandparents there. You have Yuya and Toya. And you can actually see their sarcophaguses and death masks actually in the old Cairo Museum, unless they've moved them across now to the gem. Hi, hey there, is that Sati? Satya? I probably said your name completely wrong, and I do apologise if I did. And then you have the parents, which is Amenhotep the Amenhotep III and T, and then you have the wife, the children, which is Akhenaten, and we think it possibly could be Nefertari, but we're not sure. And then you have Tutankhmun and then so on and so forth. So that is the actual family. Satyam, there you go. Thank you. I can't read today, honestly. And I haven't drunk a drop either. So here we go. So we have the grandparents. So of the family tree here. So we have Amenhotep III and his wife T, and it's quite interesting because Amenhotep III actually ruled for quite some time. Well, from 1391 to 1353 BC, he ruled for around 38 years with his wife there. So quite a substantial amount of time, and he also was responsible for building quite a few projects in Luxor as well, or Thebes as it was known back then. So you do have the Colossus of Memnon that I'm sure some of you have been on the walk to with me in the past, as well as other places around Luxor as well. So there's quite a lot of building work from Amenhotep III there. I'm sure there's been an awful lot more since I've been away too. And then we have Amenhotep III's parents, which was Nefertari and Tutmosis IV. So these were his parents. Hey Judith, I hope you're feeling well. He preceded his father, Tutmosis IV, and it is believed he was only 6 years old when he became pharaoh, so he was quite young when he took over. It was when he was around 10 years old that he named T, that he married T. So, I mean, he was very young when he married his wife as well. Hi, Mary. So again, it happened a lot in ancient Egypt. You'd have brothers and sisters marrying each other, you'd have cousins marrying each other, they marry children off, so you could secure those lines. It is believed that you're a descendant of Rameses II and high priest. He was also Amenhotep III's tutor and the father of T. Because Amenhotep III was so young when he became pharaoh. Some believe that Yoya may have been co-regent, or at least his advisor. It may have also have been intentional that he married T as well, just so that he could keep in with the Joneses, if you like. So make sure that he's secured. So again, these are the masks for Yoya and Tuya. So this is the Queen's parents. Oh, sorry, skipping ahead a little bit there. Let's go back because I'm still trying to get used to this whole doing a slideshow live in YouTube as well, because you have to kind of save it as video and then stop and start, which can be a bit difficult. So in this slide you'll see Tuya was born in Akhmim. I have been to Akhmim. There's not much there now apart from a very big statue of... I can't remember who it is now, but it is a beautiful statue that's there. And there's also a lovely little temple there, but it's more of Ptolemaic now. There's some remnants of older dynasties, but mainly Ptolemaic now. You've got the big Hathor heads there in Akhmim. It's rather lovely out there. It's kind of like to the north of Luxor, so we're looking at a Sute area as where you'll find Akhmim. It is, as I said, not very many tourists go there. There is a little museum around the area there. You have, as I said, the statue, and then you do have a temple there as well. So it is worth going to if you can get permission to go there, but it is quite difficult to get permissions. I went there probably about 6 years ago. Unfortunately, I didn't take a lot of video, which I'm still kicking myself about, because it was before I started doing YouTube and things like that. So I have been foraging around to see if I've got people that have got some video for me, so I can actually bring that to you as well. So Tuya was so his wife was actually born in Akhmim in 1390 BC. Her parents, as I said, were Yoya and Tuya. His wife, Tuya, was related to the royal family, making their daughter, Tuya, a good candidate for queen anyway. T is mentioned more than any other queen, being seen next to her husband's side and being seen as a pair on many projects together. which is also very unusual, actually. You didn't really see that in ancient times. So here is some lovely little bits here. So you've got Amenhotep III and T mentioned together. So this statue in the middle is... it would, wouldn't it, Ronnie? I like that. Yeah, this statue in the middle is actually was in the Cairo Museum. It's a lovely statue. It's huge, actually, but you can still see that today. I'm not quite sure if it's still there, but it was last time I went. It was about 3 years ago now since last time I went there. I think another visit is well overdue, don't you? So then... Now, this is quite an interesting bit because there seems to have been at least 2 plagues that caused issues within their time. One of these plagues may have taken the life of their eldest son, Tutmosis. Now, the reason I put this picture here is because these statues are in the temple of Mut in Karnak, or just outside Karnak Temple, and there was over 300, they believe 300 statues found here. And then in where the Colossus of Memnon are, there was a archaeologist that I know that was finding pieces of more statues that they believed to be Sekhmetian statues as well. And they believe that was possibly over 700 of these statues there as well. Now, why on earth would you want to make so many statues to Sekhmet? Because we know that she had two different sides of her personality. I will do a gods and goddesses tour again in the future. But just going over it quickly now, Sekhmet was actually responsible for destroying she was good for war, things like that, because she was a very vengeful goddess. But also too, she had a healing side. So she had 2, and this goes with her story that we know of her. So she has 2 very distinct sides to her personality. So she has the destructive side, and then she has the healing side. So she could bring plagues, and she could do all sorts of things. So it may have been Amenhotep III was trying to placate the goddess by building statues to her, and many statues to her, in hopes that it might stop these plagues, especially the fact that if one of them definitely took one of his sons, his eldest son, who should have been Pharaoh, but because he died, that's why Akhenaten had to step in. So this is one of the only images really that we have of the death of the prince Tutmosis. So this is him as a prince. And these are, I should have actually put a warning on here. We do have some mummy images, so I do apologise if you're a little bit squeamish and you don't want to see these. I will try and warn you if they do come up, when they do come up. But as I said, these are mummified remains of Amenhotep III and Queen T. They were both found in the royal cachette, along with a lot of the other big players in ancient history. So this death may have changed the course of their religious beliefs, as at this time we start to see the appearance of the Aten. So the Aten starts to make an appearance. Now, we'll get into that a little bit further in the tour, but it was a change or a shift in the religious beliefs in Egypt. It was around this time Amenhotep III said fest, a jubilee, that we see Amenhotep III and Toya had Malkata built. They had Malkata built. Now, the Malkata was I think some of you have been out into the desert with me. Yes, he did have a side lock, Wendy. Where we've gone down the canal. So there's about the side of where Medinet Habu is, we call this area Malkata, and there is a the foundations of a mud brick palace that they found there, with some of the original paint on the walls a little bit there, and also some of the tiling on the floor. And this was actually a palace, so Malkata Palace. Also, there was lots and lots of pottery that was found there, and they do believe there was a massive lake out there as well, if you can believe that, because apparently Queen T loved to sail, and her husband had this artificial lake installed for her, so she could go and sit on the lake and play in the lake as she wished. So Malkata is a massive, massive place, and it was literally built around the Jubilee of Amenhotep III's reign, or the Sedfest, as we called it. And they performed a ceremony to declare themselves gods on earth or the living Ra, which was very unusual and would have upset the Amun priesthood quite a lot at that time. Now, was this done as a way to protect themselves from the plague? It's like, okay, so Amun's not done much for us lately, so maybe we should try the Aten and see if that helps. Where did this belief system come from? I'm not 100% sure. It could have come from outside of Egypt. Again, it's something I'm still looking into on that subject, because it is very complicated, and as a lot of you know, I'm not really that into the Akhenaten era in history. I'm more 18th dynasty girly me, and not like these guys. But it is kind of interesting to figure out why you would jump ship from a religious belief that you'd held for so many years, and then gone over to this new religion of the Aten. So it's quite interesting on that point. Now, it's quite interesting to state that Amenhotep III reached the age of 50 years and he dies, and within a couple of months he also passes away, leaving the throne to his son Amenhotep IV. Okay, so quite sad that they died around the same time. Now this is quite interesting, because we can see that the artistry in ancient Egypt is starting to change. Okay, so it is starting to change around this time as well. So you start to see the imperfect body image. So up until now, all the statues that you see, you know, the pharaoh's looking pretty ripped. He's got pretty much a six pack. He looks the perfect form, a perfect image of a fit and healthy individual. But now we're starting to see this pop belly appear. Maybe a beer belly, who knows? And also he's got a bit of man boobage going on here as well, if you look at that. So he is changing quite a lot. Also, his face is kind of like the 18th dynasty kind of, the way they were, the artistry was done then. But even that is slightly different to what you see coming before it. So slightly imperfect, not quite the same. So we are starting to see this change in the artistry that's going on at the time. So when Amenhotep IV started his rule in Thebes, but not long after taking over, he declares the new religion. Okay, so this is when he starts to, and he goes from Amenhotep IV to Akhenaten. Now, you see the change. Same person, different look. Okay, so completely different look. He's got very long features. You can actually see the cheekbones now. His eyes are bigger. His lips are bigger. Looks like he's had a bit of Botox, if you ask me. And also, if we saw the whole of this statue, you'd see this big beer belly at the bottom, or this hanging belly. So the imperfections are starting to come through. So he declares the new religion that his father had started, and the religion was of the Aten, which meant there was only one god. Instead of multiple gods, you only had one. He closed the temples of Amun, so Karnak temple would have been closed down, and in a political move, moves the religious capital of Thebes to Amarna. Now, this is all that's really left of Amarna. Wendy had the fortune to go, didn't you, Wendy? And I think you can quite honestly say there wasn't much there to see while you were there, apart from the foundations of things. Now, what is incredible about this is the fact that over a very short period of time, they managed to build this city, a complete city, in a few years. Temples, villages, all sorts of things, palaces, you name it, Amarna had it. And there was something like 20 to 30,000 people were living there at the time. And what they did do to make the life a little bit easier for themselves is actually, instead of having the great big sandstone blocks to build the temples and things, they actually made them smaller. So they had smaller blocks. And we know this from finding parts of Akhenaten's temple from in Thebes, in Karnak Temple, because the stones were actually used to help build Horemheb's pylon in Karnak Temple. So they had the same sort of principle there in Amarna, where they actually built with smaller bricks to make it easier to transport them and also to get them built a lot quicker. I'm putting it mildly, Judith. Oh, Judith, I forgot you were there. Yes, so you were there as well. So yes, there wasn't much left. I managed to skip out of that day, which again I'm regretting a little bit because I don't know if I'm ever going to get the chance to go back there. But yeah, interesting visit that would have been. So in comes Nefertiti. We've all seen this amazing statue. Not as big as it looks in the picture. It's actually a lot smaller. I will be going to Berlin in October this year, as long as the world hasn't blown up in the process. But I'm hoping to go to, I've booked the hotel, so hopefully I'll be going to Berlin in October, and I will be taking a visit to the Berlin Museum so I can actually go and see the collection that they have from the Amarna period, and also the bust of Nefertiti. So Nefertiti was she. So his wife is probably one of the most famous women or famous faces in ancient Egypt. We all know this face, okay? We all know this face. There is a lot of speculation over Nefertiti's heritage. Some people believe she was a foreign princess. Others think she was of an Upper Egyptian woman, which to me makes more sense. Egyptians at any time, back then and even today, are very suspicious of foreigners. They wouldn't take too kindly to a foreigner coming in, and also to, at that time, and they say this today as well, when there's a political shift within the country, it always seems to be the Upper Egyptians that are able to swing the vote somehow. They still have immense power, even though the Coherans and the people in the north take the mickey out of the South Egyptians. They do have respect for them. They call them farmers. They're called Saidi, which is kind of like, it's an insulting word to say to them. But they do have this sway somehow. And you don't ever upset the Upper Egyptians because they tend to rise up and then all hell breaks loose. So it would make sense that they would have had an Upper Egyptian woman step into the role of wife, because she would have brought stability to the marriage, and then she would have been able to have a bit of sway with the locals, if you like, to be able to get them on board with this whole process of moving to a different city or a different part of Egypt to start a new life under the Aten. So, as I said, so she appears out of nowhere, pretty much, and we still don't really know anything about her, because all we have is this bust of her and a few trinkets with her name on. I mean, there's lots of stela and lots of images of her and Akhenaten together, but we don't actually know about the woman herself. What we do know is she vanishes out of history as fast as she appears. So again, what happened to her? But then at the end, when Akhenaten died, it makes sense that, the whole lineage would disappear quite quickly, but we'll get into that in a little bit. It is also believed that Nefertiti ruled briefly under a pseudonym after her husband's death and before the ascent of Tutankhmun. If Nefertiti did rule as pharaoh, her reign was marked by the fall of Amarna and the relocation of the capital back to Thebes. Okay, which would make sense that would happen, because I'm sure the whole of Egypt, ancient Egypt, had been worshipping the god Amun for centuries. Then all of a sudden you have this whippersnapper coming along and saying, actually, no, we're going to not worship the god Amun anymore, and we're actually going to worship the Aten. So literally flipping the whole country on its head. So it's like, no, you're not allowed to do that anymore. You have to do it this way. And then they declared themselves the living impersonation of gods. They were the only high priest and priestess in the whole of religion. You could only worship them specifically. There wasn't a priesthood to the Aten. It was just them. So of course, when they died, the religion pretty much died along with them. And then we have lots of offshoots of and speculation of what happened to the family afterwards. So again, it's quite enduring, because you only really see this during these periods where Nefertiti and Akhenaten are always pictured together with these these lovely moments with the family. So you can see here they've got the children sat on the knee. Akhenaten appears to be kissing his son there, and you've got the daughters on the knees there as well. You've got a little baby, and it's just like a touching family scene. It's a bit grotesque in a way, because of the way they're depicted. They looked half starved with his pot belly, which is very, very odd. But also too, you can see the Aten in the middle there. So that is the sun, or the sphere in the middle, with the hands that seem to be coming down. Some of them hands holding the key of life, or the ankh. The ankh is the key of life, and you can see that the Aten is giving the key of life to the pharaoh and his wife. Okay, so it's all very, very strange, isn't it? Quite an odd one. And also you can see that the way the writing has changed as well. It's got a little bit sloppy. It's not as precise as it would have been in the decade before. And yeah, so everything has changed quite a lot. I mean, everything's been simplified, I suppose, because of the speed it all needed to be put up in. They weren't as precise, and also they were changing things, so they were trying to make it a lot, they were trying to change the whole look and aesthetic of things. They didn't want to follow the same format as of what came before. So do ask questions. If you have any questions, please do ask away, and I will try and answer as many as I can as we go along. So they had 7 children in total, 7 children, all of which went missing after Akhenaten died. Nobody really knows what happened to any of them. There is a lot of speculation, actually. One of the stories, if you can believe it or not, which, I can't say that it's unbelievable, is if you go to Ireland, Southern Ireland today, there is a grave there called Scotia's grave. I always thought it was Scotta, but actually I've been corrected. It's the grave is Scotia's grave, and they believe that it's the body of Meritaten, which was one of Akhenaten's daughters, is buried in that grave, because they believe that when Akhenaten died, there was a big shift in power, because you had Horemheb and I come into power, and it was like who was going to be pharaoh first. So I was still moulding Tutankhmun. Horemheb was part of the army, and then it was I that was given the responsibility of being pharaoh, and then after I think after Tutankhmun died, I think it was Horemheb that took over after that. So what happened to the rest of these children? We don't really know. You go to Amarna, there are graves there, tombs in Amarna, but there's not much left of them. There's been, they've been desecrated, but also too, there's an awful lot of weather damage there as well. So a lot has happened in that area. Again, destroying any evidence of, or any record of what was going on or what happened at that time. So again, very, very difficult to know what was happening. But as I said, Meritaten was supposed to be the one that got away, got onto a ship, and we know they were good sailors, made it across the Mediterranean to what they believe, a book that I have read on it. The boat was supposed to have been moored or docked in Hull, and it was during, I think, just before World War II. Some archaeologists were digging in the estuary in Hull, and they actually found these longboats. Now, originally they thought they would have been Viking boats because they were wooden longboats, but when they actually excavated them, looked closely at them, they actually look more like the Egyptian boats that you see in the museum today. Now, apparently they are supposed to be in the downstairs part of Hull Museum, not on display, but they are supposed to be there. So that's quite an interesting fact of whether they could be actually ancient Egyptian longboats or not. I'm not quite sure. I haven't had that confirmed either way, but this is the speculation that it could be. Then they went to live on the borders, and they lived in the lowlands with the Picts in Scotland for a little while before the Picts kicked them out, and they ended up over in Ireland. And it was during this a fight broke between the tribes that Scotia possibly got killed or died, and she was then buried by her son in the grave, in Scotia's grave in Ireland. So it's not been excavated. I have been to visit it. It is actually, the grave is next to water, so it does make sense that it could possibly be. But without actually digging the grave up to see if there's a body underneath, to see how she's dressed, it would be very difficult to know for sure. So maybe somebody will get permission to be able to excavate that site in years to come. I don't know. But it'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Okay, so what do we have here? So this is a sarcophagus. Again, this was in the Cairo Museum, the old Cairo Museum. Again, I'm not sure if it's still in the Cairo Museum or it's been moved to the Gem now. I'm not 100% sure. It is believed that he may have been sorry, excuse me. So we do believe that this is possibly the sarcophagus of either Akhenaten or Smenkhare. Okay, why do we think Akhenaten? Because the face has been disfigured. As you can see, the face has been taken off, and also all the cartouches or little name plaques that are on it have been taken away as well. So we don't even know who this belongs to because there's no name on it, and we're not 100% sure. We're only speculating by the design of the gilding and the artistry on it that it is from the Amarna period, and it could be one of the two pharaohs, but we're not sure again. So in comes Tutankhmun. This is quite important. He was a boy king. He comes in after Akhenaten. I'll just get to that one in a second. Here we go. So it is believed that he may have been the son of Akhenaten. This is Tutankhmun, or at least Smenkhare, whose mummy was found in KV 55 in the Valley of the Kings. Okay, it's believed that Smenkhare co-regented with Akhenaten in the final years of his reign. Some people believe that Smenkhare might have been Nefertiti. We don't know. She possibly could have changed her name. It was possible. They were changing their names all the time during the Amarna period, so it does make sense. And because Tutankhmun was still a very young child, he was used to be able to bring the religion back to Amun again. So he was used as a political pawn in all of this. So he was able to bring the religion back to the Amun priesthood, who then managed to regain all their coffers again, and brought all the people who had moved to Amarna, brought them all back to Thebes again. It was within Tutankhamun's time he started restoring the temples of Amun, which had been severely damaged during his father's rule. But unfortunately, Tutankhamun died suddenly in his 19th year. It was in 2010 scientists found traces of malaria parasites in his mummified remains. With that and a degenerative bone disease may have caused his death. Again, we're not 100% sure what happened, but these could have been very much contributing factors to what went on. and this is his mummy today. Unfortunately, his mummy is not in a good state. This is because when Howard Carter broke into his tomb in 1922, he obviously wanted to see what was under the wrappings of this beautiful gold mask and, you know, all this inlay and things, and they savagely took Tutankhamun's body apart, literally apart. You can see that his head isn't really attached to his neck very well there at all. So it was brutal what they did to Tutankhamun's body, but he is still, I believe, still in his tomb in the Valley of the Kings. And it was at the end of Tutankhamun's reign that I'm sorry, I'm getting me pharaohs mixed up. Yes, I succeeded and he took over. So I tutored Tutankhamun as he and possibly co-regented with him after Smenkhare disappeared, and then I took over after that. I being a political figure, and with Horemheb taking over after who then that's when the military era of ancient Egypt started. Now, it is a very sad bit of history, really, because we've literally gone from the golden era of ancient Egypt into literally the country practically being made bankrupt, actually, by Tutankhamun. And it's quite sad. It's quite sad when you think about it. There's so many things that have been associated with the Amarna period anyway. Some believe that Akhenaten's, grandfather, Yuya, could have actually been Joseph, the famous Joseph in his Technicolor Dreamcoat. We don't know where his roots were from. That could be why suddenly we've got this belief in the one God system, because he came from somewhere else. Some people think that he might have been a Hebrew, possibly. Or one of the Israelites, we're not sure, because of what the worship that was going on. Nefertiti again. Apart from that Amarna bust that is now in the Berlin Museum, we don't really know much about her background. It's very murky. We know that she, the wife of was her wet nurse. That's about as far as we know. Beyond that, her family tree fades into speculation. What is clear is that Nefertiti was a no decorative accessory. She appears constantly at Akhenaten's side, performing rituals, smiting enemies, and generally doing things queens were not supposed to do. So you actually have her smiting enemies. You have her in official roles. It was just a very, very different time back then, during that reign. I mean, it was all family focused. And I suppose Akhenaten, if he'd lost his brother during these plagues that suddenly turned up, that could have been a contributing factor to the way he ended up being. If Yuya, his grandfather, was from a different country and was bringing in different ideas and different religious beliefs, then it makes sense that possibly he would have been swayed by that, because, you know, the Amun priesthood didn't really do anything to save his brother and like thousands of his people during the time of these two massive plagues. And also it was obvious that he felt very attached to his family, with the whole, you know, with the Steelers of the family being very close knit, and the kids, you know, being affectionately kissed by their mum and their dad, and the cuddling, and them all being together in the in the family sphere. I just think it just shows a different side to the ancient Egyptians, one that we don't really see with any of the other pharaohs, which I think is quite different, I think. Yeah, it's very different setup. Still don't like the era because I do believe that because of Akhenaten, it brought the downfall or the end of a great era of ancient Egypt, which I think is a bit of a shame, especially after everything Hatshepsut and Tutmosis III had done to build the borders and make the country safe against its enemies. Then all of a sudden, you have these idiots coming in and just literally turning it on his head. So I do think it brought the end of a golden era to an end. And I don't like them for that, but I do understand the psychology behind it too. If they had gone through all this trauma, then yes, it would make you go against the belief system because the belief system wasn't really doing anything for you at the time. So has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask me about the tour tonight? Don't forget, this has been a free tour for you to join this evening, but if you'd like to buy me a coffee, please follow the link I'm just about to post in there. You can buy me a coffee here. It just helps towards the amount of hours spent putting things together for you and to be able to bring new content as well. Because if I have anybody go over in Egypt, I have to give them some pennies to go out and go and do these things for me. So if you would like to support my channel, that would be absolutely amazing. So a little bit of news for you. I will be putting in a new subscribers button into my YouTube channel where there will be content in there specifically for the people that subscribe, payable subscription to my channel. So you'll get something a little bit extra. I will be doing my tours every Wednesday as always, and I have actually just posted on the link, that the Buy Me a Coffee link, 9 new tours as well. So there's 9 tours in there that you can sign up for over the next 9 weeks, ranging everything from walking through temples and tombs to going through childhood history and games of ancient Egypt and things like that. So I've got an awful lot of things planned over the next few weeks. So do join me for that. I do have some exciting videos going up into the subscribers section, which I'll be working on this week. And now I've got a cat incoming. Hello. She's telling me, Mummy, it's time to finish because it's time for food now. So I do have some very interesting things coming up very, very soon, and I will be focusing a lot more on getting to as many museums in this country as possible and any other country that I might be visiting on my travels as well that might be holding some ancient Egyptian things. So has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask before Tabitha decides that she is going to rule the roost? And look at the face. Look at the face. What's the matter with you? She's like, I want to kill everybody because I'm hungry and I want my din din. Mummy forgot to feed me before she started talking lots. We're such a goofball. Don't forget, if you manage to take any screenshots of the tour tonight, do post them in live events on Facebook and also on the Travelling Blue Lotus Facebook page. That's always very much appreciated. And thank you for your continued support. It means so much to me. Keeps me going, keeps my brain occupied, and keeps me in with stuff that I absolutely adore, which is ancient Egypt. It will always be part of me. So I am a very naughty mummy. I really am. Just thinking, she's so cute. You're so cute. Love me. She's like, no. Look at the face. If looks could kill, honestly, if looks could kill, I'd be 6 foot under by now. Right, you go on down there. Go on down. No, because I'm going to come back up again in a minute. So again, if you'd like to follow my channel on Buy Me a Coffee, do that. It's always a pleasure. Oh, thank you very much. You're very welcome. I will be back next week. I can't remember what it is I'm doing next week. Actually, let me have a quick look while I've got you on. Oh, we are doing games in ancient Egypt next week. So games in ancient Egypt, very interesting subject. So it'll be about the board games that they did and also maybe children's toys as well. I went to Bristol Museum last week, and they had quite a few kiddies things there. So little mechanical toys, and they had a Senate board, and it was really quite amazing. So yes, games in ancient Egypt next week. So do join me for that. And I will be posting the live events and on my Traveling Blue Lotus Facebook page to tell you a little bit about what's coming up and about the subscription site as well. So thank you very much for joining me this evening. It's been my absolute pleasure. Again, my name is Leslie Hammam. It's been great having you all on here this evening. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. I'm going to go feed the cat before she goes ninja on me. Oh no, honestly, there's so much history. You wait until my next tour on the family tree, because I think I'll be taking on Ramses. Because I love him just as much as I love Akhenaten. I don't know why I do this to myself. It's just like I'm reading about people I don't actually like. But it's good for you. It's good for you because it keeps the bloods flowing. So thank you very much. You're very, very welcome. It's been my pleasure. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see you same time, same place next week. Until then, be good to yourself. Take care, and I'll see you soon.